All right. Good evening, everyone. It is 8:04 p.m. on Tuesday, October 12th. Calling this meeting of the Town Council at 8:04 p.m. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Bro.
Good job, Dee Dee.
Thank you.
All right, roll call. Donald Wales will not be here this evening. I do not see Mr. Rooney either. I see Kevin Reed has logged in virtually. I see D.D. Martin has logged in virtually. Aguilar is Powers here in person. Vice Chair Lapellis is here in person. I am here. I am here in person, and Mr. O'Rourke is here in person. All right, before we begin, this meeting will be conducted in part via electronic equipment pursuant to Connecticut Law Public Act 21-12. All participants may attend in person or remotely as follows: via computer, tablet, or smartphone, which is provided on our agenda this evening, or via phone number, which is also provided on our agenda this evening. This meeting will be recorded and made available on the town's website pursuant to Connecticut state law. Additionally, those attending virtually, please remember to mute your microphone when you are not speaking. There will be a public participation session at this meeting. At that time, I will ask all those who wish to speak publicly, both virtually and in person at that time, to announce their name and address, and we will call at a first come, first served basis. Please remember that your screen, if you are sharing it, can become part of the public record, as well as anything that you say unmuted can become part of the public record. We will not be using any portion of the chat feature this evening, and that will not be considered in our meeting's minutes. Barring no objection, I'm going to pass the consent calendar as presented. I ask that communications A through I be incorporated into the minutes of our meeting. As I stated before, we will have public participation right now. I will start with inside town council chambers. Is there any member of the public that wishes to participate at this time? Seeing none, hearing none in town council chambers, I will go virtually. Is there any member of the public that would like to participate at this time virtually? Please remember to unmute your microphone. Okay, hearing none, I will ask one more time. Is there anyone attending virtually or by phone that would like to participate at this time? Please remember to unmute your microphone. Hearing none, I'm going to close this public participation section. Ms. Martin, I believe you have an appointment this evening. Resolution 21-132 to consider and act upon a resolution regarding the appointment of Vivian Capaceti of 154 Highland Drive to the Commission for Aging with term ending July 2nd, 2023. Ms. Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I am asking this council to approve the appointment of Vivian. I'm going to go repeat what you just said, I guess. Vivian Capaceti, 154 Highland Drive, to the Commission on Aging for a term expiring July 2nd, 2023.
Thank you, Ms. Martin. Is there a second?
I second it.
Seconded by Ian and Lapellis. Discussion, Ms. Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mrs. Capaceti is a long-time resident of the town of Monroe. She is a former registrar of voters and has formerly served on the Commission on Aging and has indicated desire to return to the commission. So we're forwarding this nomination, please.
Thank you very much, Ms. Martin. Is there any other discussion on the nomination of Vivian Capaceti to the Commission on Aging? Hearing none, I'm going to call for a vote on this matter. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Ms. Martin?
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. Hearing no nays, this passes 7-0. Action items.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome, Ms. Martin. Action items. Town Council Committee on Finance, Education, Health, Public Safety Matters. Madam Vice Chair.
We met 2 weeks ago on a Tuesday, right after the town council meeting on Monday. We met with the fire chiefs because we were discussing tax abatement for volunteers. And all 5 chiefs came from the 5 districts and 2 of the other chiefs. And it was a good meeting. We did not come to conclusions, but we listened to what it would take to have an abatement, and we just kind of left it by its side until it's brought up again. But we were certainly positive about it. We just did not do a vote.
Thank you very much, Madam Vice Chair. Moving on to Town Council Committee on Planning, Zoning, Public Works, and Parks and Recreation Matters. Mr. Rooney is not here this evening. Ms. Martin, did you have anything on Parks and Rec? Unmute yourself, please.
I apologize. Parks and Rec did meet last Monday, but I don't think they had any particular new business. They are also waiting on the review that the architectural people are doing. So they don't have anything particularly new.
That's on the access points to the park.
That's correct.
All right. Next, Town Council Committee on Legislative and Administrative Matters. Mr. Reed.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. We did meet tonight and we went over 4 items of new business: Food Share Connecticut Food Bank, revisions to various job descriptions, which we'll see, and Sustainable Connecticut Agreement, as well as the interlocal agreement with Town of Easton for Judd Street Bridge project, all passed and reached consensus to come to council tonight.
Thank you very much, Mr. Reed. Strategic Planning Committee, Mr. O'Rourke.
Yes, Strategic Planning Committee, we met October 6th last week. The first order of business was to discuss the Monroe Fire Needs Assessment project that had been ongoing since 2018. We reviewed where we were on that project up to that point. We left it with not instructing, but giving the architects the authority, or I should say, the consent to move forward with the next process of the project moving forward. We'll continue to update everyone here as we get further information on that process. Second topic of business for our meeting was to reorganize the capital budgets and planning. First Selectman has some ideas on how he wants to, review that process and how it works, and have SPC more involved in what the forward projects for the 5-year plan are moving forward. I'd like to maybe toss it over to the First Selectman for a little more comment on that.
Oh, sure, Sean, happy to. So we actually discussed this prior to COVID. We were talking about the process of capital planning and capital budgeting, and what I had recommended to the council at the time, and my recollection was it was well received by all of council, was to kind of evolve the process to one where on a regular basis, I suggested at least quarterly, that basically capital projects could be submitted on an ongoing rolling basis, and they should be, as those needs are identified, and they should be forward-looking and be thinking about, ideally a 3 to 5 year time horizon, and not the process that we tend to get into, which is always kind of looking into just next year. And so the process evolving where those projects could be submitted at any time, and on a quarterly basis, SBC would review them, vet them, and basically, if they, felt it was appropriate, kind of talk about where that project would fit in the 5-year capital plan, with the goal that we start kind of building a schedule out there and have a 5-year capital plan that continues to evolve and be more robust. And then essentially, by the time it came around to budget submission, hopefully the capital budget is pretty much a well-known kind of entity at that point, because we've kind of been discussing it on a regular basis. It's a function of just having kind of SBC continue to update council, and then council getting a briefing during the budget process, but it'll be one that a committee here that would have already seen, basically. Of course, there'll always be emergencies, there'll be opportunities, there'll be things that we weren't, anticipating, and those will continue to come up. But I want our department heads to be more thinking about that on a regular basis, and also, wanting to understand when we're building the operating budget, a lot of times the capital projects play directly into that. There can be an impact on the operating budget based upon capital expending. So another reason why I think the capital planning should be done on kind of more of a rolling basis, so that it's kind of ahead, a little bit ahead of the operating budget. Now, COVID got in the way of fully flushing that out, and we had capital on hold for, most of capital on hold for the better part of the year. So I think it's going to take us a while to get into that cycle, but I think my conversation with SBC was to start that process now, so we can start getting into that rhythm. So I don't expect that we'll be quite there going out of the gate this time around, but the goal is to at least get have SBC have another look at it before the budget season begins, in terms of it coming to council.
Thank you. Anything else, Mr. O'Rourke?
No, that was the two items on our meeting schedule that evening.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. O'Rourke. Mr. Rooney is not here for EMS Building Committee report. They did have a meeting this evening to speak up various stages of playing. I know they broke ground recently, and they're getting ready to move everything into order. Open Space Preservation Acquisition Committee, Mr. O'Rourke, did you?
We have not met since our last meeting. Still waiting to see when that next meeting would be scheduled.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much. Mr. First Selectman, your report.
Actually, everything I'm going to speak on tonight is on your agenda, so I have no additional report this evening.
Thank you very much, Mr. First Selectman. Unfinished business, we have none. New business, acceptance of the following donation that individually exceeds $1,500. $2,500 and 10 Chromebooks from Spectrum for the Senior Center. Can I have a motion from the Town Council to accept the $2,500 and 10 Chromebooks and accessories from Spectrum for the Senior Center?
So moved.
Ian tell us what the motion.
Seconded.
And there's a second by Mr. Mauer. Mr. First Selectman.
So some of you may have seen, because Spectrum did a presentation for this at the Senior Center. Very grateful to them for this donation, which will go towards programming around technology and use of digital technology for our Senior Center, as well as the 10 Chromebooks, which our Kim Cassie, our Director of Community and Social Services, plans to utilize on kind of a loan out program basis. And those two together, I think, are going to be a great addition to the services that they provide there. And we're just very grateful for Spectrum for making that substantial donation.
Thank you very much, Mr. First Selectman. I did add to the motion accessories at the event. They did say that they were going to bring some type of carrying device, either a backpack or something, to make sure that
Excellent.
From home wouldn't be fearful of
Excellent.
dropping them.
All right.
All right. Is there any other discussion? Hearing no other discussion, I'm going to call for a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. I see Ms. Yep. And Mr. Reed.
Yep, aye.
All right. And all those opposed, please say nay. Hearing no nays, this passes 7-0. Item B, Resolution 21-133. Consider act upon a resolution regarding Food Share Connecticut Food Bank Restricted Agency Agreement. Madam Vice Chair.
I move that the Town Council adopt Resolution 21-133. Resolved that Kenneth M. Kellogg, First Selectman of the Town of Monroe, is authorized to execute and deliver on behalf of the Town of Monroe the restricted agency agreement, any associated documents by and between Food Share Connecticut Food Bank for food distribution.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. There's a motion for the adoption of Resolution 21-133. Is there a second?
Seconded.
Second by Mr. Mauer. Discussion, Mr. First Selectman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So at the last meeting, I presented and you had approved a couple of agreements from the Food Bank and Food Share. I think I explained that they were going through a process in their new organization to revise a lot of their agreements. This is what I believe to be the last substantial agreement that they're looking to have executed. Again, this is so that we can continue to utilize those services from Food Share and the Food Bank, which provides certain products that we avail ourselves at the food pantry. Some of them are higher cost items, such as meat products. That it's an extremely valuable relationship, so we're happy to continue it. I've confirmed with our Director of Community and Social Services that we have no issues in complying with the operational requirements, and the town attorney has reviewed it as well, and you have his attached letter of opinion.
Thank you very much, Mr. Selectman. Is there any other discussion on this matter? Hearing no discussion, I'm going to call for a vote on this matter. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Mr. Reed? Please unmute, Mr. Reed. All right, not hearing Mr. Reed. This passes 6-0. New business item C, resolution. All those against, please say nay. Hearing no nays, this passes 6-0. Resolution 21-134, to consider and act upon a resolution regarding revisions to various job descriptions. Madam Vice Chair.
I move that the Town Council adopt Resolution 21-134. Resolved that the Town Council hereby approves the following updates to job descriptions and authorizes the First Selectman to implement each revised job description on an individual basis as soon as practical. Planning and Zoning Administrator, Zoning and Wetlands Enforcement Officer, previously titled as Zoning Enforcement Officer, as well as replacing Inland Wetlands Coordinator.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. We have a motion to adopt Resolution 21-134. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Mauer. Discussion, Mr. First Selectman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So we've been working to evaluate the work volume and the staffing in some of our land use agencies, planning and zoning and the wetlands departments, also while revising and updating job descriptions. I have, in evaluating this with the Human Resources Department and looking at our departmental metrics, that all supports a recommendation of our town planner, which is to consolidate two existing positions, the zoning enforcement officer and the inland wetlands coordinator. One of those positions is currently vacant, and we've actually been combining that function on a temporary basis for almost 5 months, and it has been working. We'll also improve our recruitment efforts, and secondarily, we are also looking for some minor changes to the planning and zoning administrator position as well. In addition to what I think will work well operationally, these changes also have upside budgetary impacts as well, in that we are, as you can see in this schedule here, even though this new position, given its increased responsibilities, and you'll note that it is also changed in the overall hours from 35 hours per week to 40 hours per week, attributing to some of that additional work. It is compensated at a higher rate as the current CEO. However, with the elimination of the Inland Wetlands Coordinator position and that position taking on those responsibilities, it is a net savings in salaries alone. And as we discussed in L&A, there's also potential savings in the benefits area as well, because obviously if we were to replace the current vacant position with someone who opted to take full benefits, such as medical, there'd be there be savings in only having one position. So with that, again, this has been worked through quite a bit at the departmental level as well as with human resources. Insofar as we are eliminating a role, even though it is a vacant role, there's no individual person being laid off or anything like that. But insofar as we are eliminating a position, as discussed heavily with the contractual bargaining, collective bargaining, unit as well, and the union is fine with us moving forward as presented.
Thank you very much, Mr. First Selectman. Is there any other discussion?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Ms. Martin.
I have a brief question for the First Selectman. Was, Mr. Keller, was there any discussion with the Inland Wetlands people or the commission, not as an advisory to you, but as any input from them on their feeling about eliminating this position?
Both the Inland Wetlands and the Planning and Zoning chairman were consulted and were involved in these meetings. Yes, certainly not every single meeting, but there was
Right.
definitely meetings that they were actually both at together with myself and HR and the town planner.
Okay, they were at the meetings. Can you share whether they are in agreement with this decision?
Yes, there was no concerns expressed relative to this direction. They were fine.
Okay,
Yep.
Thank you. Good to hear.
Yep.
Appreciate
Yep.
that.
You're welcome.
Right, any other discussion on this item? Hearing none, I'm going to call for a vote on the adoption of Resolution 21-134. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Mr. Reed? Hearing none, all those opposed, please say nay. Hearing no nays, this resolution passes 6-0. Item D, Resolution 21-135, to consider and act upon a resolution regarding sustainable CT. Madam Vice Chair.
I move that the town council adopt resolution 21-135, whereas Sustainable CT Connecticut is a comprehensive statewide action-oriented voluntary certification program with the mission to foster inclusive, resilient, and vibrant Connecticut municipalities that provide opportunities to provide a menu of sustainability actions. And whereas Sustainable Connecticut is designed to boost local economies, help municipal operations become more efficient, reduce operating costs, and provide grants and additional support to municipalities. And whereas the town of Monroe embraces an ongoing process of working toward greater sustainability, selecting which actions it chooses to pursue from the voluntary menu of actions provided by Sustainability CT. Now therefore be it resolved that the town council of the town of Monroe, 1, that it's the intent of the town of Monroe to participate in sustainable CT, and 2, that the town council approves the first selectman's designation of the Director of Economic and Community Development, DECD, to serve as Monroe's Sustainable CT contact person for the Sustainable CT municipal certification process, and authorizes the DECD to complete municipal registration on behalf of the town of Monroe. And 3, that the town council authorizes the first selectman's establishment of a sustainability team, to which the first selectman has initially designated to consist of the town planner, economic and community development planner, director of public works, and director of health. And that 4, the sustainability team shall conduct its first meeting within 90 days of adoption of this resolution and shall provide an annual report to the town council on the progress of its activities towards sustainable CT certification.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Mauer. Discussion, Mr. First Selectman.
Well, that resolution said it all. I'm teasing. Just in all seriousness, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, Sustainable CT, as you probably gathered from the resolution, is a voluntary. It's an independently funded organization. It provides a kind of a wide range of various actions for Connecticut municipalities, many of which are already participating in the program, all around the various categories that I itemized for you on my memo. The town can choose which ones we wish to pursue at any given point in time. It's kind of like a credentialing process, and although there's certainly some value in terms of understanding and sharing of best practices and achieving those best practices, one thing this program also provides is grant funding opportunities where certain actions could be eligible for partial funding, and particularly if it's something that we are going to pursue anyway, we certainly want to avail ourselves for any grant funds that might be out there. The program does require a resolution from council, the legislative body. The resolution that Madam Vice Chair read earlier hits upon all their requirements for the legislative body in terms of their authorization of the program. So I ask that you adopt the resolution and we can continue the process.
Thank you very much, Mr. First Selectman. Is there any discussion on this item? Hearing none, I'm going to call for a vote on this. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 All right. Mr. Reed?
Tied up on a call.
Kind of. Okay. All those against, please say nay. Hearing none. This passes 6-0. E, Resolution 21-136, consider and act upon a resolution regarding the interlocal agreement with the town of Easton. Madam Vice Chair.
Let's see, that's all I have on that one. So, you have more than that? I might have it here. Okay, thank you. I move that the town council adopt resolution 21-136, resolve that Kenneth M. Kellogg, first selectman of the town of Monroe, is authorized to execute and deliver on behalf of the town of Monroe a local agreement and any associated documents by and between the town of Easton for the Judd Road Bridge project.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. There's a motion to adopt the resolution 21-136. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Mauer. Discussion, Mr. First Selectman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So the council will recall that the Judd Bridge project is one that involves a bridge that spans Monroe and Easton. I brought this to you previously to get approval for certain lot SIP applications and process. You'll recall this is the construction is being funded through lot SIP, but the design costs are borne by the municipalities. We do have funding appropriated to account for our anticipated portion of that cost. One of the things that needed to be done in this regard to move this project forward is to have an interlocal agreement between the town and the town of Easton to kind of memorialize our understanding of how the project will work. And as I explained to you before, the town Monroe, I'm happy to have our departments be the municipality to coordinate this. However, Easton has agreed to share in 50% of all the design costs. This agreement essentially memorializes that, as well as certain other matters that the town attorney reviewed relative to indemnification, et cetera, and also addresses any kind of ongoing or emergency maintenance activities that may come out in regards to this bridge. So this will allow us to continue moving this project forward, to go through the procurement process to identify a firm to do that design work, so we will be closer to being able to issue a bid for construction. And if there's any other questions, I believe Mr. Schatzline is on the call as well remotely.
Thank you very much, Mr. First Selectman.
As well as Mr. Schultz, I believe, too.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion on this item? Mr. Mauer?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We did discuss this matter in LNA, and I do have one question for our town attorney now that he's here on one item that we discussed. The selectman had mentioned that lot SIP has changed its policies to the point that I know with the Pepper Street project, we had to put forward the cash and then were reimbursed. And my understanding is that will not be happening with this project. That being said, I know the agreement is silent as to how that cash would be put forward if anything were to change there. Do you see any issue with that? Or if that were to change, would we be able to go back with Easton and update this because it was not considered and the agreement was silent to it.
Yeah, no, I don't think it would affect it at all. I think the agreement is explicit in that there is a financial sharing between the two communities for all costs. It's very broad, so I don't think any impact or change with respect to lot SIP and how the funds were required to be expended or reimbursed would change the spirit of the agreement.
Excellent. Thank you.
And if I may, because I know he's on the call, Mr. Schatzline, I'm fairly certain that we discussed the lot SIP program shifting and that prepayment no longer being part of that program. If you're able to unmute yourself and speak to that, that'd be great.
Yes, that's correct. The lot SIP program includes an estimate that gets accepted by the state, and then they literally cut a check for the entire amount of construction. There has to be records, obviously, and at the end of the project, any money that wasn't used has to be given back to the state. Pepper
Thank you.
Street was not a lot SIP project. Pepper Street was an STP project, and that's why
right.
that's a little different.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, any other discussion on this item? Hearing none, I'm going to call for a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 All those against, please say nay. Hearing no nays, this passes 6-0. Item F, consider and act upon resolutions to settle various tax bills.
John, I'm going to give that one an aye, if that's all right.
No? Okay, 6-1. Mr. Reed.
Going against it.
Motion passes 6-1. All right, item F, consider and act upon resolutions to settle various tax appeals. I have a motion to enter executive session with Town Attorney Frank Lito, Town Assessor Justin Feldman, and the First Selectman Ken Kellogg.
So moved.
And a Vice Chair with motion. Is there a second? I will second the motion. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those against, please say nay. I did not. Ms. Martin?
I said aye.
Sorry. This passes 7-0. I had asked that the recording equipment be turned off at this time if possible.
We're going to have to switch over. So other than council members, I'll ask that all other participants in a moment, please disconnect yourself. If you wait approximately 5 minutes and then rejoin using the same credentials that you originally joined with, you will be placed kind of in a queue. And once we resume the public portion of the meeting, you will be reconnected. But for now, everyone other than council members, I'll ask you to please disconnect at this time.
It is 8:37 for the executive session.
This conference will now be recorded. This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, back on the record.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. First Selectman. It is 8:57. We are out of executive session. I do note one correction to a new business. This was not discussed in executive session, but mentioned before. There is an adjustment to the voting record for item E, resolution 21-136. I misheard Mr. Reed as voting nay. It was in fact an aye, which passed 7-0. Make that correction.
Thank you.
For the record, I misheard him. All right, so coming out of the executive session, we are on item F. Madam Vice Chair, resolution 21-137.
I move that the town council adopt resolution 21-137, resolved that the town attorney and first selectman are authorized to settle pending litigation and execute a settlement agreement on behalf of the town regarding the tax appeal for the property of 630 Main Street.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. Is there a second?
Seconded.
Second by Mr. Mauer. This was discussion in executive session. Hearing no other, if there's no other discussion, I'm going to call for a vote on this matter. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Mr. Reed?
Aye.
This passes 7-0. Madam Vice Chair, Resolution 21-138.
I move that the town council adopt resolution 21-138, resolved that the town attorney and the first selectman are authorized to settle pending litigation and execute a settlement agreement on behalf of the town regarding the tax appeal for the property at 285 Turkey Roost Road.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. Is there a second?
Seconded.
Second by Mr. Mauer. This item was discussed during the session. No other discussion. I'm going to call for a vote on this. Hearing no other discussion, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Hearing no nays, this passes 7-0. Madam Vice Chair, Resolution 21-139.
I move that the town council adopt resolution 21-139, resolved that the town attorney and the first selectman are authorized to settle pending litigation and execute a settlement agreement on behalf of the town regarding the tax appeal for the property at 877 Main Street.
Seconded.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. Second by Mr. Mauer. Again, this was discussed during the executive session. Is there any other discussion? Hearing no other discussion, I'm going to call for a vote on this. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 All those against, please say nay. Hearing no nay, this passes 7-0. Madam Vice Chair, Resolution 21-140.
I move that the town council adopt resolution 21-140, resolved that the town attorney and the first selectman are authorized to settle pending litigation and execute a settlement agreement on behalf of the town regarding the tax appeal for the property at 650 Main Street.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Mauer. This was discussed during executive session. Is there any other discussion? Hearing no other discussion, I'm going to call for a vote on this. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 All those opposed, please say nay. Hearing no nays, this passes 7-0. Item G, discussion regarding potential future purchase of real estate.
Yes.
To enter executive session, inviting the town attorney and the first selectman.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. LaPellis. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Mauer. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 All those against, please say nay. Hearing no nays, this passes 7-0. We will enter executive session at 9:01 p.m.
Okay, as we did earlier, I'll ask, except for those council members that are attending remotely, everyone else, please connect at this time. If you rejoin in any time after 5 minutes, you'll be placed in queue until we go back, and until we exit executive session and go back on the record.
This conference will now be recorded.
We put them back. Where do we just do it?
Where are you going, Enid? We still have public participation.
I was going to bed because I'm going gambling tomorrow.
Are we being recorded, Mr. First Selectman?
We're back on the recording. Are there any more of these floating around?
All right, we are back in session, 9:59 p.m. outside of executive session. Moving on to item 10, public participation. We have one matter on the agenda of unfinished business. Is there any public participation on that item?
No.
1 second. Hearing none. Second public participation. I'm adjourning this meeting at 9:59 p.m.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night, folks.